Glad to see you were able to find this video. I'd also be glad to hear from you. Let me know what you want to see or what you're having trouble with so that I can make content that's useful and meaningful to you. With that said, let's jump right in, shall we? So our previous video was the lecture portion of the division and multiplication module within the Orders of Operations video series that we're doing. And we didn't focus specifically on how do you do division and multiplication. In theory, it's a fundamental skill and you should already feel comfortable with it. If you are having problems with actually doing the division and multiplication, please let me know. I can go ahead and make another video series specifically on how do you do division and multiplication. There's also flashcards that I've created. There's some digital flashcards that are part of the Quizlet tool. You do have to create a login, but it's free, so take advantage of that if you're having problems. What we focused on instead, rather than actually how do you solve a division or multiplication equation, we looked at how do you handle them within the orders of operations specifically. And so today's video, we are going to go through some more example questions. We went through a handful during the lecture portion, but we'll go into more detail here. The thing to remember when you're doing multiplication within the orders of operations is that division and multiplication are done in the order that they appear. They are on step 3. So once you have gone through your equation and you've looked, are there any brackets? No. So that's the end of step 1. Are there any exponents? No. You've cleared all the exponents. Now you are on step 3. You will check, are there any division or multiplication? And as you work your way through your equation, you will do the division and multiplication in the order that they appear. Once you've finished the division and multiplication, you've finished step 3, then you can move to step 4, which is addition and subtraction. And in the same breath with addition and subtraction, they are done in the order that they appear. I will always remind you to keep track of your signs. Signs will get you. They're sneaky and they're hard to track down when you're reviewing your answers. So these were some example questions that I had given you on Tuesday. If we look really quickly at them, we can see there are no brackets, there are no exponents. All there are is division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. The reason for this is that I wanted you to get a little bit more familiar with how do you handle having more than one step within an equation. We've already done that a little bit. Addition and subtraction and division and multiplication sometimes causes a little bit of confusion with when do you do which one, but we remember division and multiplication are step 3. We check to see are there any division or multiplication. Once those are cleared, then we move to step 4, which is addition and subtraction. So let's go ahead and start looking at some of these examples. So our first one is 5 plus 6 times 2. So we want to go ahead and do the multiplication first. So we go 6 times 2. 6 times 2 is equal to 12, and we drop the equation. Everything on the left is brought down. So now we have a new line of 5 plus 12. 5 plus 12 is equal to 17, and there's no further operations required, so our final answer is 17. Now we look at B. We have 2 times 4 minus 3. So right out of the bat, we have a multiplication. So we're going to go ahead and do that first. 2 times 4 is equal to 8, and we drop the rest of the equation. We're only doing one operation per line, so now we can go and say 8 minus 3 is equal to 5. There's no further operations required, so we can say our final answer is 5. So C, we have 6 divided by 3 minus 4. We want to do the division first, so we're going to go 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2, and we drop the rest of the equation down. 2 minus 4 is equal to minus 2, and our final answer is minus 2. Looking at D, we have 9 times 2 divided by 3. So in this equation, we have multiplication and division. Now, regardless of bedmiss, you do not have to do the division first. Division and multiplication are done on the same step. They're both part of step 3, so we want to do them in the order that they appear. The first one is 9 times 2, so we're going to go ahead and solve the 9 times 2, which is equal to 18, and drop the rest of the equation. Now we can say 18 divided by 3 is equal to 6, giving us a final answer of 6. Remember, you don't have to do the division first. You do them in the order that they appear. E, we have 10 divided by 2 plus 3 times 2. So the first thing we see is a division, so we want to do the division first. 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5, and we drop the rest of the equation. Now we look at our line. We have 5 plus 3 times 2. There's still a multiplication, so we want to do that before we move on to step 4, because step 3 is not complete yet. So we go 3 times 2 is equal to 6, and we drop the rest of the equation. 5 plus 6 is equal to 11, and there's no further operations required, so our final answer is 11. So we remember, we do them in the order that they appear, and you cannot move on to step 4 until step 3 is done. You cannot do any addition or subtraction if there are still multiplication or division that need to be done. F, we have minus 2 plus 12 divided by 3. So we're on step, there's no brackets, no exponents, so we can move right on to step 3. 12 divided by 3, because there is a division, 12 divided by 3 is 4, and we drop the rest of the equation. Now that we've cleared all of the division and multiplication out of the equation, we can go ahead and move to step 4. So we'll do the minus 2 plus 4. That gives us a final answer of 2. There's no further operation, so we're done with 2. 4 plus 2 times 4. So we want to do the multiplication first. So 2 times 4 is equal to 8, and we drop the rest of the equation. 4 plus 8 is equal to 12, and so our final answer is 12. Now we have 6 minus 2 times 8. Again, there's no brackets, there's no exponents, there's no division, but there is a multiplication, so we cannot move to doing the subtraction portion first. We must do the multiplication before we move on to step 4. So we have negative 2 times 8. Negative 2 times 8 is equal to negative 16, and we drop the rest of the equation. 6 minus 16 is equal to 10, so our final answer is 10. I, we have 3 plus 27 divided by 9. So there is a division. We want to do that before we move on, because we can't move to the addition and subtraction until after we have finished the division and multiplication. So 27 divided by 9 is equal to 3, and we drop the rest of the equation. 3 plus 3 is equal to 6, and there's no further operation, so our final answer is 6. Now we have minus 4 plus 9 times 2. Well, there's a multiplication, so we need to do that first. 9 times 2 is equal to 18, and we drop the rest of the equation. Now we have minus 4 plus 18. Minus 4 plus 18 is equal to 14, and there's no further operations required, so we can go ahead and say that the final answer is 14. K, we have 12 divided by 4 plus 3. So this time the division is right at the beginning of the equation, but it doesn't matter where it would be found because we have to do the division before we move on to step 4. So 12 divided by 4 is equal to 3, and we drop the rest of the equation. 3 plus 3 is equal to 9, so our final answer is 9. Now we have 8 divided by 2 plus 6 times 2. So we will go through our equation again. There's no brackets, there's no exponents, but there is a division and there is a multiplication. We do them in the order that they appear, so we're going to start with 8 divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4, and we drop the rest of the equation. Now we have 4 plus 6 times 2. We have a multiplication in there, so we have to do the multiplication before we can go on to the addition. Step 3 is not complete yet. So 6 times 2 is equal to 12, and we drop the rest of the equation. 4 plus 12 is equal to 16, and there's no further operations required, so our final answer is 16. M, we have 4 minus 2 times 8. We have a multiplication that we need to do before we can do the addition and subtraction step. So 2 times 8 is equal to 16, and we drop the rest of the equation. 4 minus 16 is equal to minus 12, and so our final answer is minus 12. Now N, we have 5 times 2 plus 8 divided by 2. We have multiplication and division in this equation, and we do them in the order that they appear. Regardless of the acronym BEDMIS, D and M, division and multiplication, are done on step 3. So let's go ahead and do the first one first. We're going to go 5 times 2 is equal to 10, and we drop the rest of the equation. Now we have 10 plus 8 divided by 2. We cannot do the addition yet because we haven't finished step 3. We need to do the division first. There is still a division, so we'll go 8 divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4, and we drop the rest of the equation. 10 plus 4 is 14, so our final answer is 14. Remember, we do the multiplication and division in the same step, and you must do all of the multiplication and all of the division before you move on to the addition and subtraction. Oh, we have 2 plus 2 minus 5 times 4. So we have a multiplication, so we're going to go ahead and do that one first. Negative 5 times 4 is equal to negative 20, because a negative times a positive will result in a negative, and 5 times 4 is equal to 20. And we drop the rest of the equation. So now we go ahead and we'll start at the beginning of the equation. We have 2 plus 2, because regardless of addition and subtraction, you do them in the order that they appear. So 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, and we drop the rest of the equation. 4 minus 20 is equal to 16, giving us a final answer of 16. Now we have 27 divided by 9 plus 6. So we'll do the division first. 27 divided by 9 is equal to 3, and we drop the rest of the equation. 3 plus 6 is equal to 9, and there's no further operation, so we can go ahead and say that our final answer is 9. Q, we have 6 divided by 2 times 5. So we have division and multiplication. That's all we have in this equation. But we want to do them in the order which they appear. So first we're going to go 6 divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3, and we drop the rest of the equation. Now we have a new line. This is 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is equal to 15, and there's no further operations required, so our final answer is 15. R, 9 divided by 3 plus 5. So we have a division, so we're going to go ahead and do that one first before we move on to the addition. 9 divided by 3 is equal to 3, and we drop the rest of the equation. Now our new line is 3 plus 5. 3 plus 5 is equal to 8, and there's no further operations required, so we can go ahead and say our final answer is 8. S, 2 minus 4 divided by 2. We want to do the division first, so we're going to go negative 4 times 2. Negative 4 divided by 2 is equal to negative 2, and we drop the rest of the equation. 2 minus 2 is equal to 0, so our final answer in this case is actually 0. T, we have 5 plus 8 plus 10 divided by 5. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and look at our division. We want to do that one first. 10 divided by 5 is equal to 2, and we'll drop the rest of the equation. 5 plus 8 is equal to 13, and then 13 plus 2 is equal to 15. So our final answer is 15. So, as a summary, to make sure we're all on the same page, division and multiplication are the third step. You're going to go through your equation and look, are there any brackets? If there are any brackets, you're going to go ahead and solve them first. Continuing to look to see if there are any inner children within that bracket. Once the brackets are solved, then you're going to go out and do your exponents. And then once the exponents are done, then you're looking at your division and multiplication. Division and multiplication are done on the same step. They are both step 3. So regardless of whether or not division appears before multiplication or if multiplication appears before division, you must do them in the order that they appear. And you can only move to the addition and subtraction step after step 3 has been completed. So once you've cleared all of the division and all of the multiplication from your equation, then you can move to your addition and subtraction. So our next video, we're going to go ahead and actually kind of compile all of the different modules. At this point, we really tried to keep them separate, trying to understand how each individual step works within the orders of operations. But now we need to start adding them all together. What do you do when you have a bracket and inside the bracket there's addition and subtraction and multiplication and maybe even an exponent, and then my exponent might have its own brackets with its own multiplication associated with it? Now this is where people start to get a little bit worried with it, and in theory we've learned all of the concepts. We are only making the equation longer. There will be more steps, but we are only solving one operation per line, so it's just as hard as doing any of the other modules up to this point. If you had any problems with any of the other modules, please let me know, because as we start to bring it all together, if you had a problem with even one module, it's going to make doing them all together very difficult. So please let me know if you were running into any issues. You know I love to hear from you, so if you have any questions or any future topic ideas that you would like to see, let me know. Reach out to me in whatever channel suits you best, and I look forward to seeing you at the next video.